The War Council of the Varric Empire convened beneath the crimson moons of Drakthos Prime. General Varric stood at the center of the holographic war table, his silver-scaled fingers tracing the glowing blue sphere rotating before him, a small, unremarkable planet orbiting an ordinary yellow star at the edge of the Milky Way. Earth. The Galactic Conclave has protected this world for 3 centuries, said Varric, his voice low, deliberate. But their protection has expired. Their treaty has lapsed. And for the first time in recorded history, Earth stands alone, unshielded, unaffiliated, vulnerable. The chamber murmured with the sounds of 40 alien species all sharing the same thought, finally. Varric expanded the holographic display. Earth's orbital defenses appeared, a modest scattering of satellites, a handful of patrol vessels, a few orbital platforms that looked, by Varrician standards, almost embarrassingly small. Our analysts estimate conquest in 72 hours, Varric said. Earth's military output is primitive. Their fastest ships cannot match our Tier 3 cruisers. Their weapons technology lags us by at least 4 generations. They have no cloaking systems, no gravity cannons, no quantum fold drives. He paused, surveying the room. They have nothing. The council erupted in approval. Only one voice didn't join the celebration, a weathered Thorican diplomat named Orus, who sat quietly in the far corner, studying his clasped hands. General, Orus said softly, waiting for the noise to fade. Have you read the full conclave briefing? Not the summary. The full briefing. Varric gave him a dismissive glance. I've read enough. Orus nodded slowly. Then you missed the footnote. The Varrician fleet dropped from hyperspace in a formation that blotted out the sun. 700 warships, the largest fleet the Empire had assembled in 50 years, arranged themselves in a crescent of absolute authority above the blue-green marble of Earth. General Varric stood at the viewport of his flagship, the Iron Dominion, watching as Earth rotated peacefully below, completely unaware, or, perhaps more troublingly, completely unconcerned, with the shadow now cast across it. His communications officer frowned. General, we're receiving a transmission. From Earth? From one human. He's requesting a private channel. Varric snorted. One human. 700 warships. He almost admired the audacity. Put him through. The holographic display flickered to life. A human male appeared, broad-shouldered, gray-eyed, with the kind of face that seemed carved rather than grown. He wore a dark fleet uniform with no decorations, no medals, no rank insignia except for a single silver pin shaped like a bird of prey. General Varric, the human said. His voice was calm. Not performed calm, the kind that came from somewhere deep, from a person who had made peace with very uncomfortable things. My name is Fleet Commander Ethan. I'm the senior officer of Earth's Unified Defense Force. Commander Ethan, Varric said, almost amused. You have 700 guns pointed at your planet. I expected your government to be on this line. Or perhaps your surrender delegation. No, Ethan said simply. Just me. Varric studied him through the display. Something about the human's eyes bothered him. They weren't afraid. They weren't angry. They were measuring. I want to offer you something before this begins, Ethan continued. A chance to turn your fleet around. Varric let the silence stretch, then laughed, a short, controlled sound. Commander. My fleet could reduce your largest city to ash in 4 minutes. Your entire orbital defense force wouldn't last 30 seconds against a single one of my battlecruisers. What exactly are you offering me? Ethan tilted his head slightly. Survival. The channel was very quiet. General, Ethan said, his voice unchanged, unhurried, I've read the Varrician military doctrine. Efficient. Hierarchical. Built around overwhelming force and rapid surrender mechanics. You've conquered 43 worlds in 2 centuries using a strategy of shock and scale. It's worked every time. He paused. But you've never fought humans. Varek's jaw tightened. You have primitive ships. Yes. Inferior weapons? Yes. No quantum fold drives, no gravity cannons, no cloaking. Correct, Ethan said. All of that is true. And none of it matters. Varek stared at him. Explain yourself. For the first time, something shifted in Ethan's expression, not fear, not pride, something far more unsettling. Something that might have been pity. General, your analysts looked at our hardware. They compared our ships to yours. They ran the numbers and concluded we were defenseless. He leaned forward slightly. They forgot to read history. The first Varikian strike wing descended toward Earth's atmosphere at 0300 hours, 200 fighters, the most advanced in the fleet, screaming through the thermosphere in a coordinated assault pattern. They expected token resistance. A few outdated interceptors. Maybe some surface-to-air defenses that would be overwhelmed in minutes. What they found was different. The human ships came from everywhere. Not from orbital platforms, from clouds, from mountain ranges, from beneath the ocean surface, from installations buried so deep under terrain that no Varikian scan had detected them. Hundreds of small, ugly, fast, relentless craft that moved like they had nothing to lose, because individual pilots clearly didn't believe they did. They didn't fight like any species Varek's commanders had encountered. Most civilizations, when faced with superior force, fought to preserve themselves, tactical retreats, surrender protocols, preservation of life. Humans fought like they'd already decided the cost was worth it and were just working out the math. The first strike wing lost 60% of its fighters in 11 minutes. The second wave fared worse. Varek watched the battle reports pouring in with growing disbelief. Yes, humans were taking casualties, terrible ones. But they were absorbing those casualties and continuing. Every time a Varikian gunship destroyed a human position, 4 more human units appeared from coordinates that should have been empty. Communications networks that his jammers should have severed kept functioning through methods his technicians couldn't immediately identify. Varikian commanders who expected enemies to rout when outgunned found humans who simply refused, who used terrain, debris, each other's wreckage, anything, as tools. At hour 6, Varek opened the private channel again. Ethan was still there. He looked slightly tired. He was holding a cup of something steaming. You're losing pilots, Varek said, no longer bothering with contempt. Yes, Ethan agreed. More than us. Yes. And you're still fighting. Ethan took a slow sip from his cup. General. Humans have been at war with something, weather, famine, disease, each other, for our entire existence. We don't have a word for a fight we can't survive. We only have words for how long it takes. He set the cup down. You have 700 ships. Impressive. But you need to control this planet afterward, police it, administer it, extract resources from it. You need it intact. You need us manageable. His gray eyes were steady. We don't need any of those things from you. We just need to make the cost of taking this planet higher than any empire in the galaxy is willing to pay. Varek was silent. That's why the Conclave protected us, Ethan continued. Not out of kindness. They ran the numbers 3 centuries ago and reached the same conclusion your analysts should have reached: Earth isn't defenseless. Earth is expensive. He leaned back. 700 ships, General. How many are you willing to spend? Because I promise you, whatever you're willing to spend, will cost you more. General Varek stood at the viewport for a long time after the channel closed. Behind him, his tactical officer was reading casualty projections for a full-surface invasion. She read them quietly. Then she read them again. Then she set them down and said nothing. Varek thought about the 43 worlds the Empire had conquered. He thought about how none of them had looked like this in the first 6 hours. He thought about the footnote in the conclave briefing that he hadn't read, and suspected it said something very similar to what Commander Ethan had just told him. He thought about Orus, the old Thorican diplomat, sitting quietly in the corner with his clasped hands and his knowing eyes. "Have you read the full briefing?" Varric pressed 2 fingers to his temple. "Signal the fleet," he said at last. "Prepare for hyperspace departure." His officers turned. No one questioned the order. Several of them looked quietly relieved. As the Iron Dominion banked away from Earth's orbit and the fleet began its slow, enormous turn toward open space, Varric opened the channel one final time. Ethan was still there. Still holding his cup. "You're a dangerous species," Varric said. Ethan nodded. "We know. The galaxy should fear you." "The galaxy should respect us," Ethan said. There was no heat in it, just the plain statement of a fact. Fear makes people do stupid things. Like bringing 700 ships to a planet that's been in continuous warfare for 10,000 years and calling it defenseless. Varric almost smiled. It was the closest thing to respect he could offer. "Farewell, Commander Ethan. Safe travels, General." The channel closed. The Varrician fleet folded into hyperspace and was gone. Below, Earth turned slowly in the sunlight, small, blue, ancient, and absolutely, categorically unconquered. Somewhere in a buried command center, Fleet Commander Ethan set down his coffee cup, exhaled slowly, and began writing the casualty reports. He owed his people that much. And somewhere across the galaxy, in 1,000 different war councils and strategy chambers, the same lesson was being quietly filed away: Earth is not undefended. Earth is not weak. Earth is not alone. Earth is just patient.